Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Hello. Guess who's coming to dinner? We're here with you today. We're remote. I'm up in Newport, Kentucky. I've never been to Newport, Kentucky. Didn't they used to have a jazz festival here years ago? I think they did. I think my mom used to come up to the jazz festival. But anyway, I'm broadcasting remotely. Guess who's coming to dinner? I'm trying to get my guests in. I've sent them a link a couple of times. I hope they're not having too much difficulty. But look at what's going on. The travesty in the justice system. We cannot let this persist. You can't have two different justice systems for a country of people because they're black or white. That just shouldn't be. You know, it just really shouldn't be. I'm still trying to navigate this, make sure my guest isn't having any problems. But Ahmaud Arbery, do you believe what's going on in these trials? I've never seen anything like it in my life, and we will probably never ever see it again. And God, I pray God that it doesn't get any worse, but it doesn't look like it's getting any better. So we have to be vigilant, folks. We have to be involved. You know, folks got to just say, well, I got to come out from behind my safe walls and be proactive and do whatever it is a citizen needs to do to make change. Because that's how change gets made. We make it by being proactive, by being involved. So, I kind of push things of that nature. I believe in being proactive, speaking. You have a right to speak your voice. And so that's what I'm asking each of you to do. We need to get behind our elected officials, our officials that are running for office. And I've got some opinions about some of that too, and I'll talk about it at another time. But right now, I have a special guest, and he's here live and in living color. I see you. Got to back up a little bit. Let me present to some, introduce to some, and present to others. Are you ready? You ready, my brother? I see your eyes. None other than, I say he's WLOU's. His name is WLOU's Mr. Bill Price. Pull back a little bit, my brother. Yeah, there we go. How you doing?
I'm doing great. What about you, James?
I'm just fine. I was telling everybody I'm up here in Newport, Kentucky.
Am I coming in loud and clear for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Fine. You're just
well,
fine.
Thank you so much for the invitation to have me part of the show. I know anytime you do events or create opportunities, it's going to be first class. I know you're hardworking, you're diligent, and you're very persistent. And I like that about you.
Look, that's what us Tracians, that's what we do.
Exactly.
That's something that, that whole Beach Terrace background that we have is, I'm like you, I'm very proud of it. And most of us that were born and raised there, because that we got a certain something, and as they say in Paris, we have a certain je ne sais quoi about us being born in Beach Terrace.
Exactly. I would agree with you, and just again, I'm excited to be a part of the show. I know a lot about your history, and I guess I'll share a little bit of my history. And
yeah, just take us back to the beginning. you cut your teeth on. Move the camera back some from you. You got to move back some from the camera. I'm seeing the top of your head.
Yeah, you know why I'm getting closer to the camera? Because I'm having a hard time hearing.
Ah, well, let me
And
see if it's my sound. If I can turn my sound up some for you. You have a hard time hearing me. Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear?
I hear you a little better.
Okay. Can you turn your phone up?
Yeah, I did. I've got it on max.
Oh wow.
Can you see it flash across the screen?
No, no. So anyway, let's start with your beginnings in radio.
Okay, well, let's go back to, right out of high school and in between college. There was a stretch in there where I came on board as an intern at WLOU, about
Mhm.
19 years of age, and met Mr. Bill Summers. Um, I was working part time with a name that people might remember, Morris Jeff.
I remember Morse Jeff. My mother worked with Morse Jeff over at
Okay,
Plymouth.
at Plymouth Settlement
Yeah,
House, right? And
yeah,
they had
yeah.
Saturday football games,
Okay.
and I went there and helped him do some play-by-play, whatever you could do it at 19
Yeah.
in terms of play-by-play, because they had an opportunity on a WLOU radio to cover those games. So I started there. I met Jim Rucker, who I think the listeners will know is Jim Dandy.
Okay.
He was
Yeah.
he saw some potential in me,
Okay.
and he told me he was going to go back and talk to Mr. Summers about having me do intern work.
Okay.
Well, the next week, Mr. Summers shows up at of those Saturday games at Plymouth, and those games are played, I think, at Central High School.
Okay.
And so we chatted for a while. He invited me to come by the radio station and said there may be opportunities for me.
Hmm.
One thing he insisted on that I was in school. Of course, I was enrolling at U of L just
Okay.
out of high school, so I met the basic criteria that they were, they had set aside for talent, young interns coming into the radio station.
Okay.
You got to remember at that time there were probably 30 radio stations in the market. Right now it's about 52.
Okay.
And LOU was really the only urban formatted radio station. And it was a top 10 radio station in the market. And so to get an opportunity to be on a radio station that was really dominant in the urban market was really a big step for me.
Okay.
And, Daddy D, names like that, Jim Rucker, Skip Thompson, those were names and really early legends in our community. And
Was Mr.
so,
Howard still there?
pardon me,
Tobe. Tobe
Tobe
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tobe Howard. No, it was a little bit after Tobe Howard.
Okay. Okay.
Tobe was no longer with the radio station.
Okay.
And so, that was a great opportunity for me. And, after about 3 months, Mr. Summers came to me towards the end of the summer and said, well, we have an opportunity for you to work part time.
Oh, all
Okay.
right.
And so between school and I was around the corner at U of L, so there was no problem making the time available. And he hired me to work on Sundays from about 10 till 2 o'clock. And after 2 o'clock, Skip Thompson came on with this nationally renowned radio show. And so that was my first entry into broadcast.
Right.
And, I stayed there 18 years and I moved up from an intern to full time. And David Anderson was there and he did a daily show early in the morning. And, I went from David Anderson to Neil O'Reilly came on board, and I had an opportunity to hire talent from across the country. And, back then, LOU was the number 5 rated urban station in the country.
Wow.
Stations in Philadelphia, Donnie Simpson.
Right.
Uh, he was a young pup. And I'll tell you a story. One of my best friends um, that we went to high school together, he worked at LOU before I got there. And his name was Keith Adams. Keith moved on, had an opportunity to go and work with Donnie Simpson. They became
Okay.
roommates.
Oh,
And I
wow.
would go to Philadelphia and, sleep on the sofa some weekends. And, Donnie was running around, Keith was running around, I was running around. So that was my early experience with Donnie Simpson. Of course, he went on, and it still is one of the great broadcasters, urban broadcasters
Right.
that we've had in the last 50 years or so.
Right. Right. Wow. I was thinking about that. I said, well, um, you went from an intern um, to an owner. Tell us how that worked.
Well, yeah, well, I had 2 stints at LOU.
Okay.
My first stint lasted 18 years until 1988,
Wow.
and I left the company that one. But if I back it up a bit, uh, Mr. Summers, people know him as Bill Summers.
Bill
I
Summers.
still
Yeah.
respect him, Mr.
Mr.
Summers,
Summers.
Mr. Bill
Okay.
Summers.
Okay.
Left the station, and so did Johnson Communications in, I think, '84.
Okay.
And
Because
because we were,
it was a part of um, the Johnsons from Ebony Magazine, right?
yeah,
Okay.
Johnson Publishing,
Johnson Publishing, right?
and they had a station in Chicago, WJPC,
Okay.
and the afternoon guy at WJPC was Tom Joyner.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay. I
so
got you now.
there's a
All
lot
right.
of history. Just when
Just
you tie
in and
in,
out, huh?
yeah, when you tie in Louisville to Chicago, and
Okay.
BBB Banana, who was a national talent around the country, Tom Joyner doing the afternoons, and Tom Joyner started flying across country to
Right.
Texas.
The fly job.
And he became the fly jock, exactly.
Yeah.
And, so I got a chance to be a part of that family with Tom, Linda Johnson, Mr. Johnson's daughter,
Daughter.
Jerry Bolding, who was the #1 programmer in the country. And he was in Chicago. And there was some great competition, a lot of talent moved in and out of the Chicago area. And, they saw the great jobs and the great things that were going on in Louisville. And Mr. Johnson said he wanted to add that to his portfolio.
Okay.
And a
Okay.
guy named Charles Moutry, who was the general manager at JPC in Chicago, flew to Louisville, spent a weekend listening to our radio station, flew back to Chicago and told Mr. Johnson, "This is a great radio station. We want to put in an offer for the station," on his recommendation.
Wow.
And the rest in that area was history. And so I had the chance to probably every month fly to Chicago and be a part of a roundtable conversation with a lot of great talent from around the country. And Mr. Johnson sat at the head of the table. And me, a
Okay.
guy from Louisville, I was very impressionable. And it was just a great honor to have an opportunity to be there under those situations. And Mr. Johnson, he maintained one floor at the JPC building.
Okay.
Nobody went on that floor but Mr. Johnson
Oh, la
and,
di da.
his
All right.
personal staff that
Okay.
worked for him. And, one of my times when I was there, I was sort of didn't know my way around. and they had a man operating the elevator, and so I went up two floors too much. When I got on that elevator and I was trying to exit off, I said, "I'll walk down the stairs." Okay.
Right.
When I was walking down the stairs, Oprah Winfrey
Get
was
out of
walking up
here.
the stairs.
Get out of here.
And she was a young reporter
Wow.
and hadn't got to the fame level that she achieved with
Right.
an afternoon show in Chicago, and then that show went national. But it was interesting, So all along the way, I've had an opportunity to meet some great people, and
But
meet them in the early stages.
it sounds like you held your own, huh? You
Well,
grew into
you know,
holding your own, Bill.
I was brash, probably 23 years old,
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know any better. And at that age, you think you're invincible and your talent level is comparable to anybody in the country. And, those are the kind of things that drive, great personalities, great people, certainly in broadcast industry, you have to sort of have two things, a chip on your shoulder and a tremendous ego.
Oh, okay.
But eventually I learned you had to have a good work ethic too,
Yeah.
because, no matter how smart you thought you were, there were a lot of lessons to be learned.
Right. Right. You have to be open. You have to open your mind to everything that's around you. You have to be a sponge because it sounds like you were in those rooms soaking it up.
Exactly. And that's one thing I learned early on. About the time I was 24, I realized I had some things that I could learn and pick up.
Okay.
One of the early things that I did was when I was going to Chicago and to LA for the Soul Train Awards back in those days.
Right.
I had an opportunity to go to the studio where they taped the Soul Train show.
Okay.
And and so after being there for several years and watching that, and a lot of the talents that I met, Barry White, when I first got on the elevator, uh, they had the Soul Awards in Los Angeles. As soon as I got to the hotel that I stayed in, on the elevator was Barry White, Shaka Khan, and and Don
Wow.
Cornelius, right?
Okay.
Now
Okay.
Don Cornelius was about 6'4",
Wow.
so he really stood out. And
Okay.
Barry White was probably 300 pounds with a
Wow.
great voice, and
Yeah.
he stood out. You
Yeah.
know, and those days we didn't have a quick camera like we do on our phones now. I would have shot a lot of,
Right.
lot
You'd
of
had that picture, that selfie.
exactly.
Listen, also back in the day, I remember there was when they used to have the black radio exclusives. What was the guy's name that was over that? Because I had a chance to meet him in LA. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, but Janet, let me tell you right now, don't challenge my memory because
Oh, okay,
it's not
okay.
that great. But yeah, Black Radio Exclusive. Those were two national conventions that
Yeah.
they had. One for the broadcast element, but the other for print.
Okay.
And had the chance over the years um, to travel back and forth to L.A., New York, Chicago, and all along the way, meeting just great people. One of the people that I met when I was first going out to Chicago was this chubby guy, and they said, "I want you to meet him."
Hmm.
And so he was a big, thick guy, and we introduced ourselves. I said, "I'm Bill." He said, "Yeah, my name is Luther." And
Andros, get out.
he says, "Yeah, I've got some songs I'll be sending you." He said, "I've
Okay.
got a group called Luther, and
Okay.
I want to play." We were outside of a small studio,
Okay.
and he said, "I'd like you to come on in." I had some other people with me.
Mm-hmm.
and I want to play a couple songs for you. And that song he played for me was The Second Time Around. Do you remember that?
Second time around.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
That was what Stacy Lattisaw did that or something.
yeah, yeah,
Da, da,
exactly.
ba, ba, da, da, da,
I forget yet that
da.
you're our recording artist, so you could sing that song. But
I remember the song though. Yeah.
just small, exciting opportunities all along the way
So,
to
Will,
meet
let
and
me ask
greet.
you this: what do you see? What is the role that WLOU plays in the Black community now? Because it's a staple in our community.
Well,
It's our go to radio station. It's our WLOU and the Louisville Defender. They've been around here for what, 60, 70 years?
67 years, right? Well, the interesting thing about WLOU, you know, historically when it started out, it's what they called a full service radio station,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that meant it played R&B, soul. On the weekend, it played jazz and gospel.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, full service, meaning it covers all aspects of music. And the other part of it was the commitment to the community.
Okay.
And Mr. Summers promised that he'd always give the people in the community a place where their voices could be heard.
Right.
And so, with that, we had always, even up until today, weekend programming and designed for people to, voice their opinions,
Right.
to let their voices be heard, to be their voice box, so to speak.
Right.
And so that's if when you're trying to identify why LOU is so valuable to our community, it's
Yes.
because when you think about it, no other station in this market allows an average blow, an average citizen, an
Right.
average young student to get an opportunity to talk about subjects of interest to the community, voice their opinions. Not only are there just positive opinions all the time, there's a negative aspect. As soon as something goes wrong in this community
Right.
or around the country, everybody, if you turn on the radio station,
Just
everybody
talking
gets
about it.
on the phone and has an
Right.
opportunity to voice their opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's the great thing about it. And historically, over the years, from the Louisville Defender Expo, which was a staple in the community, and
No,
we're an
I know.
active part of it, to
Yes.
all the concerts that came into town. And, there was no concert for about 15 years that could come into town without calling the radio station,
Right.
making
Right.
sure, there were
Because
no other
everybody,
competing.
that's when everybody listened to the radio.
Exactly. And
It
there were no
was
competing concerts.
right.
And we sort of, made it an even playing field for great talent,
Right.
local talent, gospel. And
Right.
so the full gamut and that full service banner that was created by Mr. Summers a lot of years ago still exists to the day.
So WLLV is the gospel station, right?
Exactly.
And now it's also FM.
Exactly.
I
So
mean,
what about 2 months ago, the
okay.
station went after a lot of years, a lot of promises that were not kept, a lot of conversation about it, and the station finally went to FM, and it's a tremendous position for the station. LOU originally was a daytimer.
Right.
That meant we went off at
8 o'clock,
dark. In
six
the
o'clock,
winter, it
eight
was
o'clock.
5:30. In the summer, as long as the sun was out, it went to 8:45.
Okay.
And so for a lot of years, we heard people saying, what will it take for LOU to be 24 hours?
Right, right.
And so those things, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of all those great steps,
Those big
from,
moves. Those are big moves. I said
yeah,
those are big moves. Yeah.
yeah, that was a big move. So from going to a date timer to 24 hours. And when we went 24 hours, we were like number 8 in the market.
Okay.
Once we switched over to 24 hours, within 4 months, we were the number 1 station in the market.
Wow.
And we stayed number 1 for about 8 years and
Wow,
stayed in
Bill.
the top
Now
five
that
for
I
about
did not
12
know.
years.
That I did not know.
Yeah. And
Bravo.
and we played a lot of your music too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, every time I would come home and do a show, Bill, I always felt I have to come to the station and put it on WLOU,
exactly.
because that's where my audience was.
Exactly. And I remember, the times that you were out in Las Vegas,
Right.
and I remember coming to Las Vegas, and I went to a show that you were doing. I never got up to you because there was a lot of people around you, and I was with some people that we all flew in for a couple of days, but
What show? Do you remember where it was? What hotel it was at?
no, I don't. I don't
Oh,
know.
Bill.
No, I do not remember. It was in
Okay.
the lounge.
It was a lounge and not a showroom.
No, it was in a lounge,
Okay. Okay.
and
But anyway.
it was a lot of people there, and most of them were of a different persuasion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I had a nice mixed audience
right,
in Las
you had a
Vegas.
very diverse audience, and they
Yes.
really appreciated you. And in fact, the show that I went to, I could not originally get in,
Okay.
and because it was sold out, it
Okay.
was busy.
Ah,
It was on a weekend. There was a festival that was going on in the area, a broadcast festival,
okay.
and a lot of people just in town, for the weekend.
Right.
Although, of course, Las Vegas stayed busy, and one of the radio stations out there got me some tickets because I kept saying, "Well, I've got a friend."
So was it one of the radios? Was I doing a show for one of the radio stations?
Yeah, you were.
Okay. So you either came to the Paris Hotel or the Stardust.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those two. I'm not sure.
Were you inside or outside?
It was inside.
Okay. So you came to the Stardust. I
Okay.
did for the that's I guess it's comparable to our B96 here or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a young skewed radio station,
Yeah.
and they had tickets for everything that went on in town, and so they gave me an opportunity to sort through a whole table full of events that were going on,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw you were performing at one of the events, so so my,
Wow.
my party. We went there, and of course, I was bragging on you the whole time.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And but I
That's
never
funny.
did get to, after the show, get up and get a chance to see you.
Oh, wow. I wish
But
I had known you were there.
I do. I remember the experience, and I said, Jed is doing quite well.
Yeah, moving to Las Vegas worked for me. It was that was after I left the New Birth, that was to go to take another step
Right.
because see, I was a backup singer for 10 years. And then I went on my own after I finished singing backup for Lola. But so let me ask you this, Bill. So where do you see WLOU? Now, I saw something about that you all have a new building down on 2nd Street.
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, we were at 20th and Broadway for I guess 22 years or so, somewhere around
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And so, we had an opportunity to get down really in the heart of what's going on.
Right.
You know,
You
and
were in the heart of the city,
when we were at
or the
20,
heart of the African American community. You were in the heart of it there.
right, and that was part of our mandate
Right.
to be placed, positioned ourselves, right in the heart of the community, the urban community.
Hmm.
And you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, through different ownership, we were still able to maintain that commitment that we had in the community, to
Hmm.
make it easy and accessible for everyone to get a chance to come by the radio station. Because, WHAS and WLOU have one thing in common. We always not only talk about a commitment to the community, but we show it. And we felt like by positioning ourselves the way we were and making it accessible on the bus lines, or if you're close and you could walk, and believe me, we have plenty of walk up traffic, okay?
Okay. I believe
And,
you.
and so, we did that. Then we had ownership change recently, and their commitment or their vision was to be, downtown, really in the heart of what was going on downtown. And so that's how that move came about. But still, the basic things are still intact. The commitment to the community, having programming that is priced where churches can afford it.
Right.
And at this point, we probably have probably 75 churches that have ministries during the week on WLOV.
Right.
And, still excited about it's a 24-hour, signal now. So both stations are on FM. And we're went back to our roots in terms of what we're doing on LOU with the R&B
Right.
and classic soul. And, we have a good lineup. Miss Crystal, Mr. Purvis in the morning, live in Louisville. My wife, Angela Lee
Right.
Price, works middays. She's on from 10 o'clock to 2. And then Mark Gunn, who's the program director, uh, wraps up the day starting at 2 until about 6 o'clock.
Hmm.
We do some special programming. I think Gerald Neal has a special feature. He had a special feature last Monday night. So we still allow those kind of special community events to take place.
Okay.
We have a lot of the great churches, but more than the great churches, we have the small churches and
Right.
what some might consider mom and pops, under 100,
Right.
that go there. And we'll allow those churches, price point wise, to have a show on. And so that's still part of the commitment that, we have to the community. It will never change. And, we just continue to find ways. We had an anniversary. We awarded some people some awards, like Kevin Fields from over WLCC. So we're constantly looking for ways to give back to the community, to
Right.
acknowledge people in the community that have been critical to what we do, and to award people their just due before it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a commitment that continues to go on for what we do. We're always looking for interns, but still we make that commitment to you have to be in college, and
Okay.
you have to be working towards a degree.
Okay.
And so but we showcase local talent as well. And so
Okay.
we're right on target in terms of what our commitment is to the community. Would never waver. We keep relationships. As you know, we had Tom Joyner on for about 3 years, and we still had the summer fest.
Right.
And it was
So,
one of our
and
biggest
you're going to keep
crowds.
the Summerfest, huh?
Right. And it was one of our biggest crowds. When Tom
Right.
came in, we probably had about 25 or 30,000 people
Right.
wanted to meet and greet with Tom.
Right.
Historically, we had Yolanda Adams. When she came in, we had a special meet and greet with her a few years back. So we continue to stay in touch with what's going on with a celebration recently, for WLLB going 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And, J.J. Harrison, one of the top five gospel artists in the country, was a part
Right.
of that celebration.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the history, you know, matching up to the legacy,
Yeah. Okay.
it still moves on. And we're just excited about to have the opportunity to continue to um, represent the community and be the voice of the community.
So the station is no longer upstairs off of,
No, no,
you
it's a
moved
pretty nice.
everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice facility right on Second Street, right off of Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
And
Well,
of
I'll
course,
have to come visit.
yeah, you have to come and visit. And
Okay.
so these are really good times in the life of not only the radio station but the community. And I think we're a reflection of that.
Okay.
With the way that the nation responded last year, to some tragedies in the community.
Right.
Well, we were a reflection of that. And Louisville, with $140 million in money that came in, you know, and it gave us an opportunity to continue to fight COVID and reduce that in our community.
Right.
So many issues we are actively participants in, and so we're excited to continue to forge ahead in terms of programming, in terms of community relations. When you think about it, the Urban League with a big, huge building down there, and we
Right.
salute them. And so many organizations have expanded the relationship we've had with some of the Qs and Omegas and the Deltas and those black sororities and fraternities, giving
Right.
away, turkeys and clothing people, which is historic
Right.
for what their station represents. So
Right.
those things will continue to go on, and we'll stay forging ahead because we have to stay on the mark. And our mark and our commitment to the community won't waver, won't change. It'll get stronger. And so we're excited about, the opportunity. I'm excited about having a chance to sit down and chat with you. I know we tried to put it together a few months ago, but uh,
Well,
God willing.
and I'm looking at this because I know you mentioned something to me about coming on the station, and I want to know, can it look like this?
Yeah, it can.
Can we do something where I'm broadcasting from the station, but you can see, kind of like Charlemagne the God does his
Yeah,
podcast,
you don't have to really do it from the station. You can do it from home,
but if we
and
come through the station.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but a lot of
Okay.
people do it because of COVID. Last year, a lot of our programming was done away from the radio
Okay.
station.
We're done
And so
remotely. Okay.
we do have the manpower and the resources. If you want to do a third person like you and I are doing it, you could
Yeah.
do that and still be broadcasting live on
Okay.
the radio, the
You
audio, not
know,
the video.
I met the new owner. I had him on the show. I met he and Crystal at the same time because they both were students of, I lost an aunt who was a teacher over in Jeffersonville.
Okay.
And that's how that came about. That both of them were my aunt's students, and both of them worked at WLOU.
Exactly.
So I had them on, and I plan to have Mr. Archie Dale on, because so he won't say, "Well, she had everybody but
Okay.
me."
Okay.
Because Archie, I'm calling you.
Well, one thing I know about you, you're very persistent. So any gas you choose to have on, it may take a while, but
Oh
you
well,
won't stop
I'm
until
gonna
you get
keep
that
going after
accomplished.
him. Yeah. Well, I think that there are people a lot of times, Bill. Your name, people know who you are, but how often do they really get a chance to hear your story, hear you tell
Exactly.
your story or your vision about the station, and what the station does for the community? Sometimes they need to hear your voice, and that's what I want to do. I want those unheard, like unsung voices that need to be heard, that are behind the scenes.
Exactly.
You've been in front of, but you also have been behind doing some heavy lifting.
Right. Exactly. So a lot of years of, and this continues to try to, position the station where, you know, it's vital to the community, and
Right.
we keep moving in that direction, and we keep as situations happen, like when COVID struck, so many people turn to the radio station, this station, for
It was comfort.
information.
It was comforting. The
Right.
station was there. You comforted a lot of people. I'm sure you did.
Right. And then we give us a chance to talk about, hey, look, some people have had COVID that worked here. We
Right.
recovered. But the main thing is the information that we disseminate says, get tested. We did
Get
that
tested.
for a long time. Get
Right.
tested.
Right. Right.
And once the shot became available, we start talking about get the shot,
Right. Right.
get the shot. So we
Right.
keep pushing that, and just encouraging people that, you know, and one thing we do is get the shot ourselves, and so we can tell someone else it's not going to hurt you,
Right. Right.
it's not going to kill you, it's going to
Yeah.
save your life.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna
so,
save your life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Bill, I want to thank you for coming on finally. And I'll come visit. I'll call you one day and come up and visit, and then
exactly.
I'll schedule my next dinner conversation with Mr. Dale.
Okay. And be sure
So
to get your new show in the new year.
yeah. Well, I'm setting up. I just moved, so I'm setting up a whole new. I'm coming in. I'm trying to step up my game, and maybe this is a part of stepping up my game. Coming up, step up over to WLOU. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good. Janet, thank you so much for the invitation. I've enjoyed this 28-minute conversation with you, and
This
look forward to
28
more.
minutes, man. You talked for 44 minutes.
We talked for 44 minutes.
Yes, you did. Talking about 28-minute conversation.
Well,
Oh
I
no, no,
talk for
no,
a living,
baby.
so that's nothing unusual.
But this is a conversation that I wanted the community to hear. I wanted them to hear from Bill Price's perspective how things started, how they got started, where they are, where they're going.
I
And
appreciate.
I applaud you for your hard work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. About 40 years in the radio business,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but every day is a blessing,
it is a blessing.
and I realize that nothing's promised.
Okay. Well, you are a blessing to us, and we thank you for all of
Thank you
your
so
hard
much.
work. Okay, darling. Take care of yourself.
All right, talk to you
Go have
soon.
dinner. It's dinner time.
Right, exactly, and happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
Oh, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right, darling. Bye bye. All right. That's Mr. Bill Price. WLOU, WLLV. He's that's like when you he stepped into his blessing at 19, and he found his calling. You hear his voice, he's got that radio voice, you know, and he was able to, he cut out a whole career for himself, you know. Um, Opportunities come. Sometimes God just gives it to you, but you have to do something with it. And that's an example of somebody doing something with the opportunity that It's presented to them an internship. A lot of uh, our teens, and I know he was saying you have to go to college, but I'm working on some things for internships for 16 to 25-year-olds that might want to get into performing arts or production. So I'm going to be working on that. I'll let you know a little bit more about that as it comes along. But I'm trying to move Guess Who's Coming to Dinner to another level. So just stay with me. Every now and then, if some people tell me, oh, I might watch you for a few seconds and leave, then you've got to let me know you watched for a few seconds. It's like hit a button every now and then. I mean, I don't push it. Um, I don't press the issue, but I do need numbers. I need numbers to make this show grow, to become bigger and better every day, and it will do that by the analytics that I get, my numbers counts, how many people watched, how long they watched. And that's only if you do something to let all the algorithms know that you were there. You got to press like, you got to press share, you got to press subscribe on YouTube and on my own Roku channel. Download it. Download Jantastic Productions if you got a Roku stick or smart TV. Download the Roku app. Type in Jantastic Productions. You can get me on your big screen. You can say it's 7 o'clock. It's Monday. Oh, it's Friday. Oh, let me turn Janice on. Jantastic Productions. Guess who's coming to dinner? It's like another TV show. I'm working on it. Watch me. Go have dinner. Bon appetit. I see you on Friday. Happy Thanksgiving. I may not see you on Friday. Um, I think I may do an encore conversation that I had. I haven't decided who it's going to be yet. So check it out on Friday while you're sitting around and enjoying family. Maybe you can bring the family in to enjoy an encore presentation of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, wonderful, safe, and blessed Thanksgiving from me to you. Bon appetit. It's dinner time. Ciao.